thank you for joining me. I was up in the loft the other day and I can't remember whether I was just looking for a case to go away on our holidays or I was looking for a kit to try and get the mojo restarted, and I found a box which had got some of my older models in there, and I don't think I've shown these before, so I thought it would be a good idea to get them out and do a video about them. So this one in front of you is the Airfix Albatross 1/72 scale. Now I quite enjoy building this kit, and as you can see it's finished in the colours of the Red Baron, Manfred von Richthofen. And the story goes that the black crosses that were on his plane, he said they were too distinctive, and so he got his technicians to overpaint them with red to try and dull them down a bit. What kind of confuses me about that story is the British aircraft were green and a lot of the French aircraft were buff. So if you've got an all red aircraft coming towards you, surely that's distinctive enough that it's going to be a German aircraft and not anybody else. But perhaps that story is incorrect. As you can see, I spent a bit of time on this one. I painted the propeller in alternate brown colours to try and give an idea of the different woods through the propeller, and I did the rigging on this as well. Now this was using my old technique of actually drilling through the wings and then putting you know, the mending thread and using that as the filament between the struts. The only issue I used to have with that, the way I used to do that, was sometimes I'd leave a hole, a bit of a dip in the top of the wing, and although I tried as hard as I couldn't quite get rid of that hole, and so you can see it on occasions. But nevertheless, I really enjoyed doing this, and in fact I've been thinking recently of going back and doing some more World War I 1/72 scale models and perhaps producing them in different colours. So this is the first one, and I'm trying to do them in date order, so we'll see if that works out. So the next one is a little bit later in the war, and I think it's one that everybody recognises. So here it is, guys. This is the Fokker DR1, and again, as you can see, it's finished in the all red of Manfred von Richthofen. Unfortunately, a bit of damage to this one. One of the wheels has come off, and I've got to repair that. Now this kit is one of my oldest ones. I actually built this for my wife possibly 30 years ago, nearly 30 years ago, because she did like the triplane, and of course the history of the Red Baron. So this is one of the oldest kits in my collection. It's finished in gloss paints, which is why there's a different sheen to this, although it's got quite a bit of dust on it. I do apologise, I meant to give it a brush down before I showed that. This is obviously the 1/72 Revel kit, and although you may think it is a complicated build, it's not at all. It is possibly one of the easiest World War I aircraft to build, because there's very little rigging on it, and the struts that you can see towards the end of the wings, that's one long section. So you just put that middle wing on, and then you just butt the other two wings up to the strut, and in fact the bottom wing butts up to the bottom of the fuselage as well. So it's not a bad kit to build if you fancy having a go at 1/72 World War I aircraft. Not much more to say about this. Obviously I spent my time on it, but okay, so again, apologies for the damaged wheel on this. I have got it thankfully in the box where I found these, so I can try and get that put back on. Now this is again a 1/72 Revel triplane, Fokker DR1, and this one's finished in the colours of Manfred's brother, Lothar von Richthofen, in the green and yellow. And what I like about the German planes particularly is that the pilots giving their individual colour schemes to their aircraft, almost like giving themselves like the medieval colouring to show crests and things like that. And so the variation on the colours that these aircraft could appear in is just fantastic, and you could just do that as a hobby all day long, just buying the same kit. Similar to what I did to the Mustangs, where you bought the same kit but you just added aftermarket decals in order to provide aircraft of different pilots. And this is just an example of two. You could really spend some time on this project. So that's that one. The next one is another Revel kit in 1/72. This is Oberleutnant Rudolf Berthold's aircraft from 11 Jasta 1918. So we're towards the end of the war now, and as you can see, the aircraft have progressed. Now I'm not too sure whether I didn't do the rigging on this one, or whether rigging wasn't used on this particular type of aircraft. As I say, I'm not 100% sure about that. But again, I just love the colours on this, and it's another aircraft type where you could really go to town showing different pilots' machines during that part of the war. Another really nice kit to put together from memory. Those thick struts, I think, just made it quite a simple build, to be honest. But it's the colours on this one, and I managed to get the striping through the propeller as well on this, so again taking a bit of time. Just something a bit different on this particular plane is the lozenge decal underneath. Now I don't know whether that was included in the kit or whether I bought it as aftermarket to get that result. Obviously I didn't hand paint it, I ain't that daft, but it just gives a nice overall effect, I think. So on to my last German World War I build, although I have got two other aircraft I know are around somewhere, but I'll get this last one out and then I'll tell you about the other two. Now I'm not sure whether I've saved the best till last, but I have to say this is one of my favourite schemes, and I don't know whether you guys can recognise it, but it's actually of Hermann Göring's aircraft. Obviously during World War II he was a fighter pilot, and it was because of an accident whilst flying an aircraft that he was treated, and I think he became addicted to morphine, which was an issue for him the rest of his life. Now I'm not going to go into his later life, but as you can see, or you may be aware, he was just an airman, you know, just he was a fighter race, and he was just an average Joe to a certain extent during those days, and it was only later that he became what he became. So the other two aircraft that I know I could possibly get my hands on at some future date, that I have got, although it's in a bad condition, a Fokker Rheindecker, which of course was revolutionary, single wing aircraft with the machine guns firing in sequence with the propeller, which was an absolute devastating aircraft when it appeared, and for some time. And I have got another triplane that I built, I think, for the mother-in-law. I may have to try and get hold of that at some stage. But I hope you enjoyed well, my trip down memory lane with these older builds. Thanks ever so much for watching. I really am tempted to get some more of these kits and to build them in different schemes. I hope everything's going well with you guys, especially on the modelling front, and I'll catch up with you soon.